So this is the brand new redesigned Tesla Model 3 Performance, and living with it as my daily car for a month now, it truly is ludicrous for many surprising reasons. Hey friends, Andrew here, hope you're well. I am super excited to share with you today my experience with driving this EV for a month, from my dislikes, my likes, its everyday usability, the new redesign, and of course, its supercar slaying acceleration and mind-bending performance. It's one of the fastest accelerating cars on the road, and yet it also manages to be one of the most pleasant drives. Before we get into it though, it is worth mentioning that this is not a loan or a press car. I had the opportunity to work with Tesla on this video, but I decided to buy this car on launch day and was apparently the very first one to take delivery according to the Tesla delivery center. So I was able to test all the features, including track mode. And of course, you can expect a brutally honest review because as amazing as this car is, it's not perfect. So I'm going to do my very best to give you a complete end-to-end honest review, covering as much as I possibly can in one video. And so if that sounds good to you, consider dropping this video a like, and let's start right from the very beginning, which was taking delivery of this car. So the delivery experience has improved a lot. If you watched my previous video on the 2023 Tesla Model 3, you'll know that leading up to taking delivery of that car, the experience was all over the place and quite confusing. But Tesla has done a great job improving the experience, like personal calls to check in with you, a new in-app pre-delivery checklist that actually makes sense and keeps you in the loop, plus an even fancier pickup experience. In previous years, the Tesla pickup spot, at least where I'm located, was in a dingy warehouse filled with hundreds of Teslas and felt more like a hire car spot than taking delivery of a new car. This time, picking up the Performance felt special. A few people were ready to greet me at the entrance, the lobby has been revamped, and the overall experience felt more special. Once I saw the car, the very first thing I did was of course check for defects, but just like last year, the Shanghai factory does a great job with its builds. There's no panel gaps, no broken buttons or stuff like that, but I will say, the black paint already had imperfections right at the showroom, including swirl marks. So clearly they didn't really do a great job buffing it before bringing it to the showroom, but this is something that Tesla is notoriously known for. So as you can see, I opted for the full black variant, which surprisingly I haven't seen many videos showing off, likely because black is a pretty hard color to maintain, but I think it does look so sleek and clean in person. I may eventually end up wrapping the car in stealth PPF, and if I do, I'll make sure to show you guys the results in the long-term review and over on Instagram. Now, let's talk about its biggest draw card, the performance and its stupidly fast acceleration. So strap in because there's a lot to discover here. Coming from daily driving a Tesla Model 3 long range with the upgraded acceleration boost, its 0 to 60 time of 3.7 seconds is quick enough to make passengers feel sick. But now, stepping into the new Model 3 Performance with its blistering 0 to 60 time of 2.9 seconds, and the only way that I can describe the difference here is it's sort of like going from, oh wow, that's quick, to a gut-punching tunnel vision quick, capable of making some throw up. And I'm not even exaggerating here. It has made my friend green in the face. This is a car that's faster to 60 miles than any Ferrari or Lamborghini made before 2010 and sounds like an absolute spaceship launching off.
Oh my god! It literally feels like you're on a roller coaster.
Yeah, rocket ship roller coaster. Sounds about right. My heart is pumping right now. I should point out that the claimed 2.9 second acceleration includes rollout, which is basically a drag racing term that allows the car to get off the line rather than a complete standing start. Slamming the throttle off the light will blast past a handful of supercars, double, even triple the price tag of this Tesla, and it never gets old. It's all thanks to its dual motor powertrain that sends a combined 510 horsepower to all four wheels. The rear motor is apparently entirely new, and a heads up though that unlike the Fremont made variant, the Shanghai Model 3 Performance gets a slightly smaller LG battery which outputs 460 horsepower. But despite the peak power differences, they both max out at 163 miles per hour, and its 0 to 60 acceleration is pretty much the same. Top end acceleration beyond 60 miles an hour is also significantly improved over the 2023 Performance, and there's more pep going from 60 to 80 on a highway, for example. Okay, so it's really freaking fast, but that's not surprising. No one can really question Tesla's straight line speed, but what has surprised me driving this car for a month is its dramatically improved handling and overall driving dynamics. It's head and shoulders above my Model 3 long range and transforms the driving experience when on curvy roads. It's so much fun. And that's thanks to a few things. The bigger than ever performance brakes are extra bitey. The new staggered tires, which means the two front tires are thinner and back tires are wider, not only look more aggressive, but also improve handling. And the new performance chassis with updated springs, dampers, and stabilizer bars do make a difference. On bendy back roads, there's an amazing turn-in feel, and it's extremely planted, so it inspires confidence, and the car will basically do what I ask it to around corners. Where my previous Model 3 had a lot of body roll, the chassis on this new Performance is a night and day difference, and steering is super direct and precise. It gets even better with track mode. Thankfully, this isn't a Tesla press car, so track mode isn't blocked on this car, and with it turned on, it becomes a lot more fun and a lot more playful with traction slightly reduced. The chassis becomes a lot more fun and rear biased. It's sort of like the car relaxes itself, lets its hair down, and shows off its full character. But it's still no Porsche, and the entire driving experience feels somewhat digital and sort of, let's say, distant is probably the way I'd put it. There is something else that I think would improve the driving experience, and this might be a hot take, but I think what I personally would love to see is digital shifting and simulated engine noise. Sort of like Hyundai's Ioniq 5N, that car simulates the character of combustion engines brilliantly and makes the drive feel more dynamic. I'm keen to take this car on the track so I can fish out the entire performance of this car, and I'll share my thoughts in the long-term review, so be sure to be subscribed for that video. Moving on to the new design elements, we've got things like a beautiful new lipped carbon fiber spoiler, which is far more nicely integrated than before, the updated diffuser, air vents, and a front fascia that looks great and helps improve aerodynamics. And let's not forget the iconic ludicrous badge that now screams performance variant. It all looks good, but it is a bit of a sleeper. The average person is not going to realize that this is downright one of the fastest cars on the road. The star of the redesign has to be the ventilated bucket seats here, and I think most of you are going to love them. But just be wary that I found it needs sort of time to break in, especially if you're not used to it or have never sat in sport bucket seats before. The previous Model 3 was really comfortable, those seats were great, but when taking on corners, I'd roll around like an egg in a shopping trolley. There was zero lateral support. Now the bolsters are large and tight, and I'm as steady as a rock when getting hit with all sorts of G's around corners. Plus, they just look hella cool. They shout performance car, and it makes a statement when a friend steps into the cabin. The ludicrous badging on the top of the seat feels solid and is a really cool touch, and it shows off its roller coaster capability before the car even takes off. Something I also appreciate is the new 20-inch warp wheels unique to the Model 3 Performance, and the black on black with the red accents from the brake caliper looks incredible. paired with the staggered Pirelli P04 performance tires, which are Tesla specific, and you get a handsome yet aggressive looking side view that also does a great job keeping road noise to a minimum. The new carbon fiber trims inside the interior are also a welcome addition too. Overall, this car will turn heads. I've already had a handful of people come up to me asking if this is the new performance Tesla, or just to say that this is a cool looking car. I still think though that this is a gentle redesign. Tesla could do more visually to differentiate the performance from the rest of the range, because from some angles it still does sort of look like a base Model 3. And there is one thing I truly hate, and that's the lack of stalks that I miss quite a lot coming from the 2023 Model 3. Tesla did so many great things here with the Highland refresh, but damn, placing the turn signals onto the wheel as capacitive touch buttons is sort of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I got used to the on-wheel turn signals fast enough, but when turning the wheel more than 90 degrees, pressing the turn signal is really inconvenient, and Tesla could have at least placed a turn signal on the right and on the left. Sometimes it doesn't even actuate the turn signal when I press it down either, which is really quite frustrating. So yeah, overall, I really miss the stalks, but hey, maybe that's just me and some of you might like it. So at this point, we know that this car has supercar slaying performance. It also looks the part, but what makes this car uniquely special is it's still able to be an incredibly comfortable family car for daily use. And that's thanks in big parts to the new adaptive suspension and dampening system that keeps it planted and responsive in sports mode, but also quickly settles down in an ultra comfortable cruiser. Heck, I'd even say it's as comfortable as the base Model 3, which is such a comfortable drive for the everyday commute. And that's something that has impressed me so much. Where else will you find a car that has supercar level performance, yet it is as practical as a Toyota Corolla, has all the tech, plus will drive itself, and with a price tag under $55,000 US? It is mind-boggling insane value and has set a new benchmark in this category. Cruise control and autopilot is always a pleasure to turn on during road trips, and it's always done a great job taking the reins so I can take a breather and mentally relax during longer trips. I should also point out the difference in cabin noise is drastically reduced in the 2024 performance in comparison to my 2023 long range. It's actually quite a stark contrast. Where I was able to make out the hums of cars around me previously, it's now a bubble of peace, thanks to the double pane glass all around the car. Plus we get creature comforts like dual displays for passengers, a terrific 17 speaker sound system, minimal road noise like I said, and interior mood lighting. Again, to find all of this in a sub 3 second 0 to 60 car is unique to say the least. While we're speaking about all the tech, something I haven't heard mentioned often is the fact that the onboard USB-C chargers have been upgraded actually. The power output has been significantly bumped up from 15 watts to 65 watts. That's enough juice to charge 2 MacBook Pros at once. Moving on to the EV range and charging. Even though this is a performance car, getting decent range is still a serious consideration. So over the last month, I was able to see about 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. So that would give me about 260 to 270 miles on a single charge. That's of course with a lot of spirited driving. And to give you an idea, every 0 to 60 acceleration pull took a full percentage off every single time. If you drive the Tesla Model 3 Performance more efficiently, then 300 plus miles is totally achievable if you're taking it out on a long road trip. But let's be honest, it's a performance car. You're going to have fun with the 0 to 60, so I wouldn't worry too much about the range. Charging the 82 kilowatt hour battery pack from a standard power outlet will take forever though, specifically about 42 hours. But as you know, one of the key benefits of owning a Tesla is access to their large supercharger network. They charge Model 3s at speeds of up to 250 kilowatts, which may not be the fastest in the industry, but it does add over 140 miles of range in just 15 minutes, which is plenty. So far driving Teslas, I've never run into range anxiety, and the new V4 superchargers should also improve charging availability too. They're currently being rolled out around the world, I believe, with potential for these chargers to reach a peak charge rate of 350 kilowatts and even download over-the-air software updates while you're charging. I also think it's great that Tesla is finally opening up the supercharger network to all EVs to boost public charging access and ultimately should help with EV adoption. And let's not glance over safety, one of the most important aspects of owning a car. Teslas and Model 3s initially started off on a rocky path. There were a lot of issues with reliability and build quality, but since the early days, the Model 3 has become quite a reliable and safe car. The Model 3 is now named the second best car to own and the 7th most reliable car in the 2024 Driver Power Survey. Euro NCAP has also given the Model 3 a 5-star safety rating in 2019, and that's largely in part due to the lack of engine, a quality impact protection structure, and there's also very low rollover risk thanks to the heavy batteries on the bottom of the car. I've even seen videos of people driving the Model 3 off a cliff and surviving that crash with minor injuries. Pretty insane stuff. Plus, the Model 3 is riddled with safety and drive assistance tech. It has 8 exterior cameras for Sentry mode, which records any intruders, and there's 7 airbags. So on paper, it is really safe. I will say though, insurance with this Model 3 performance is a pain in the ass. If you own a Tesla, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's far more expensive to insure, and that's thanks to the high cost of repairs, the lack of aftermarket parts, and of course that insane amount of power that they put out compared to similar classed cars. So the insurance risk rating for Tesla is high. Heck, there were insurance companies not yet providing insurance quotes because this car was so new, so it was actually quite a journey to find insurance for this car. So there is still a lot more to explore with this Tesla Model 3 performance, and over the coming months, I'll share more over on my Instagram and also in my long-term review here on YouTube, so stay tuned for that. What I can say for certain after a month with this car is that it is the best in its class, hands down. It has the performance numbers to keep up with supercars, yet has the daily creature comforts and safety of a family car, and incredibly, it is half the price of a BMW M3 when you include all the US tax incentives. It doesn't have the character and connection of a Porsche 911 or BMW M3, and yes, it does have some serious flaws like the lack of stalks, but this is as much car as anyone ever needs with an incredibly fair price tag. Seriously, if you don't want to be tempted into buying this car, I do not recommend test driving this car. It has been a dream driving this car over the last month. Having that road superiority and zipping around cars, going on road trips, and enjoying the interior cabin. And I now don't have to worry about servicing, oil changes, or combustion engine issues. The base and the long range variants of the Model 3 still represent great value for money. My long range with acceleration boost gets close to the performance for a lot less coin. So check out my full review of the longer range Model 3 over here. And if you made it to the very end of this video, comment the code word INSANE. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.